So let's see. It takes a second for the stream to get going.
I'm waiting for the notification here so I can see stuff here.
And let's see. There we go. Starting stream health. All right, and we are live for Good Morning Raider Nation.
Good Raider! Oakland, LA, Oakland, Vegas, Raider Nation, wherever, forever. You got your old Uncle Mosh and Raiders Fan Radio from Murf's Man Cave, taking a lighter journey into the dark side. Sit back, put your feet up, pop a top, and enjoy the ride. Here we go!
Look left, look right, Bolitnikov, a leaping pass, touchdown!
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
That's live for you.
Way up the middle, intercepted Filipiano at the 50, time running down. Oakland football, and I think Oakland victory.
The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Well, I love this team. I think this team can win. I think this team can win.
What is up, Raider Nation? Welcome to Raiders Fan Radio Live, to RFR Live. It's the morning. It's Friday morning. It's December 14th, and it is Good Morning Raider Nation. You've heard of Good Morning Football. This is Good Morning Raider Nation. This is kind of an impromptu thing, but we thought it would be kind of fun to hop on here on the YouTubes and do a little live stream from the fan cave because we have a very, very special guest in town. So without further ado, welcome to Raiders Fan Radio, Kevin the Raider Nerd.
Good morning, Raider Nation. Boy, did I accidentally talk over the lead there. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. No one's listening to us anyway, so we're all good. Absolutely. That was a fantastic Robin Williams Good Morning Vietnam there, Kevin.
Thank you.
Here, let me give you let me do the appropriate button here. There we go. There we go. That's right. I had to reach over for that for the soundboard late because I'm so used to Uncle Mosh now running the board over there, man. So I'm.
Is that why you frantically grabbed for that?
I did. I was absolutely frantically grabbing for it. So welcome to the fan cave, man. Welcome to Murf's Fan Cave.
Dude, this is like a dream come true. It is wonderful in here, man.
Oh, cool, man. Thank you.
You even got all the nerdy stuff for me, all the Star Wars stuff.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely. You don't you don't see all the Star Wars and Lord of the Rings off, when we're doing Raiders Fan Radio, but yeah, definitely we definitely rock all that stuff. And we got the movies there for the backdrap for you.
I love it. I love it.
You know what I mean?
The Raider Christmas tree. I'm digging that.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah.
Very nice.
Absolutely. So hey, we do have at least one person in the chat there. Michael. Good morning, Michael. Appreciate you joining us here on Raiders Fan Radio.
Michael, thanks for coming on, brother. Appreciate it.
So, Kevin, so you're passing through town because you're on your way to Cincinnati to go see our beloved Raiders take on the Bungles.
That's right. Yeah, we're looking forward to this. We got a big crew coming in. As you know, Raiders love to travel, and so we're pillaging the jungle, as we say.
Nice.
And Gorilla Rill is already there. Seen a lot of people show up already. It's great. So
cool.
I'm really looking forward. And you're going to see the Mando Raider Nerd there too. So yeah.
Nice. Kevin, if you haven't seen Kevin dress up for Raider games, it's awesome. His costume. Do you call it a costume? Is it a uniform, Kevin? Tell me. What do you call it?
It's weird because I'm part of the Star Wars guys and the G.I. Joe guys where we dress up. We call them costumes, but apparently when it comes to Raider Nation, it needs to be a uniform.
Uniform, absolutely.
Hey, we're getting people on here. There's Salvador. We got Ron, Dez, Chris Black, Raider 64. Raider J. Nice. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Absolutely. Appreciate you all joining us here in Murf's Fan Cave for Good Morning Raider Nation.
Good morning, Raider Nation.
You know, I've always wanted to do my whole life, Kevin. I've always wanted to do a talk show, and so here we go. Knowing Kevin was going to come through town, we knew we were going to record some stuff this morning, and we're like, let's flip on the cameras, man. Let's go ahead and let's go live with this thing. So Good Morning Football's over.
Yes.
So now we'll go with Good Morning Raider Nation. So look, there's our buddy Kevin in the UK there. What's up, Kev?
How are you, buddy?
That's very
our
cool.
buddy from Scotland. And by the way, I just want to say thank you, Uncle Mosh, for letting me borrow your chair here. I promise to leave some of it intact. Maybe I'll put on your readers over here.
I was going to say, yeah, put on his readers with the Al Davis chain, man. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. So good. So you got, so tell us a little bit about what you got planned around the game. You said you're going to meet up with a lot of the other super fan. Can I call you super fan, Kevin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not as dedicated as a lot of other super fans are, but I mean, if you're gonna dress up like me in any type of weather, yes. I remember the hottest one was Tampa when we went to Tampa. Was it last year or the year before? Man, that was hot. That was the one where we won like in the last few seconds.
Oh, the Seth Roberts, the Dread Pirate Roberts walk-off game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we got stuff going on. We got a party going on. I think it's a Saturday night, and of course a tailgate in the morning. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's really
that's
good.
very, very cool,
and a very winnable game. So yeah,
a very winnable game, and that's let's talk about that. Let's get into some Raider football a little bit. Kev, it's been a rough year. It's to say the least. Just a little bit. I mean, it kind of went unexpected on us, But the good news is that with a win like Pittsburgh, it invigorates the fan base a little bit. It gives us at least something to be excited about. Gives us something to look forward to. And now I may have let my fandom get a hold of me a little bit. I may have gone off the rails a little bit, but I think it's fully feasible that we beat a down Cincinnati team this weekend. We beat the Donkeys, and we go into Kansas City, who's now battling for their life, not only for the #1 seed, but for the division. How cool was that with the Chargers win last night? So, anyway, what do you think, Kev? You think let's start with just Cincinnati. How winnable is this game for us?
Totally winnable. And you're saying what we're thinking. I mean, come on. Let's put it this way. You're always saying what we're thinking.
Oh, thank you.
No, this game is totally winnable. Cincinnati's down. Raiders are on kind of a high. What's kind of funny, though, is that, and I've seen this before, when your team, our Raiders, aren't having a good year, it feels like almost every win's almost like a semi-Super Bowl win.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But when you do it against a team like Pittsburgh, it's an extra good feeling. It really, really is. And that really does a lot for a team going into the next game, because you have a rhythm. There's a certain mojo that you carry with you. And I think that this is a very winnable game. Raiders, I think they're only Cincinnati's only favored by like 3 points, I think. So
that's not much. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it, and of course it's all about Raider Nation showing up. So
word, absolutely, good stuff, man. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Did you get a chance to watch the game? You traveled early this morning. Did you get a chance to stay up and watch the game last night?
I did watch that game last night, San Diego at KC. I was glued to it. I wanted to see how it came out. And what's funny is when it was they were up like 14-0. I think.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know this is classic Phillip Rivers. Something's going to happen here, and sure enough, there it is. It happened, and as much as we hate Phillip Rivers and all of his kids, I tell you, man, that showed something between the legs there, going for that too.
Oh my gosh, you are kidding! Absolutely, what a yeah. Well, we'll just call it ballsy. What the heck,
yes,
man? That was a ballsy play. And I like that. I like it. I love it when coaches do stuff like that. And, I'm not to praise the freaking jokers here.
They were doing it straight off. They did not walk off the field. They were ready to do it.
Yeah, they were ready to go with it. Yeah. And much like the Titans did this year, they did something similar. And, I think that when you're on the road, but they had so much on the line, and that was the difference. Is that we're talking #1 seed, not only the division, but they potentially had their season on the line, and they went for 2. That was pretty good.
Didn't the Raiders do that in that good year's 2016 first game against the Saints?
That's the Saints.
Yeah, because they knew they had the Saints on the rope there.
Absolutely.
And Crabtree, I think, caught that 2-point conversion.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. That was great, and that was when the whole Riverboat Jack thing started, right?
Yeah.
With Jack Del Rio. So hey, so we got some more people jumping in the chat here, man. So many people appreciate Monster Mash. Ken is in there. Oakland Raiders fan. Consigliere Salt. You know who that is?
No, who's that?
That's a former co-host of the show.
Really?
Yeah. What's up, Sonny? Absolutely,
Sonny. I was just asking about you, brother. How
are
you?
What's up, man? Absolutely. Glad to see Sonny in there. That's fantastic.
Hold on. I got to show this.
Okay.
Got to show.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Hold on. Let me get you on camera. There we go. There we go.
Kevin. Fans Radio, baby.
Kevin's rocking the shirt, man. The
got
original.
This in Tennessee. Was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago. Yeah, absolutely. That's where we all met. We met Kevin when he came up, and we did our tailgate party from Nissan Stadium there. That was awesome. And so that's cool, man. Appreciate you rocking the shirt there, man, and thank you to Sonny.
But by the way, I think you only projected maybe 1 or 2 people showing up. We got more than 1 or 2.
I think we got 1 or 2 more people. I'm like, I don't know, Kevin. I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna watch this. I'm like, it's the morning. I'm like, it's like what 7 a.m. on the West Coast. I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna get anybody in here or not. And sure enough, a lot of you are showing up here, so we appreciate you guys checking us out.
Totally, really.
Let's go. Let's see if let's since the chat's live here. Let's see if we got any questions or anything in there. If you got anything, guys,
roll them out. Let's hear
hit
them.
us on.
We're
live. Monster Mash Ken, we got to get one of those hats. I know. How about Kevin's hat is killer, man. The bowler hat is awesome with the Raider Nerd logo on there. Mojo asked, when did this start?
It's flippable too. Yep.
There you go. Hold on, let me get you on camera. There you go.
Look, I got this, and then and then my rally cap when the Raiders are down, I turn around. There you go.
There you go. But yeah. So Oakland Raiders fan there says they might run all over us since A.J. Green is out. We have a better chance. I agree. And, yes, stopping the run and stopping tight ends are the 2 things that we have to do. And we did a pretty good job of that against the Steelers. And considering, look, it wasn't Le'Veon Bell. It wasn't even James Conner. But still the idea that we slowed down the run game, that was enough.
Didn't we kind of do that with Kelsey, too? Didn't we keep him to a certain –
He was pretty quiet. I don't remember what the no.
Did he get it?
No, that was he set the freaking record.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yes,
no.
That's right. That's right.
He set the record, 168 yards or something crazy like that. But so let's go. Let's hit a couple topics here, Kevin, while we got you. So there's been a lot of news that's been going on in Raider Nation.
I just got an NFL one about the Davis Amari trade.
Did you really?
Yeah, it said that it was Davis made the trade decision, not our coach.
Really? And that's what, like a lock and forth?
Yeah,
report?
Davis made trade decision. That was his go. He said he decided to do it.
That's crazy. So there goes the theory that John Gruden is just like he's not gone rogue and he's not just operating like he's not some crazy dictator. And
give it up to Mark Davis for owning this stuff.
I know, man.
That's what we've needed from him for a while.
Yes. Totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Paul Edgerton, our buddy in the UK, says, how much does Uncle Mosh charge you to use his chair? That's awesome. So Uncle Mosh, he knows you were coming over. I didn't tell him that you were going to adorn the southern annex of the Murf Sand Cave desk, but I'm sure.
So what is yours? What is your annex? What is that over there?
Well, mine's the original, Kevin.
Okay.
Mine's the original. Yeah. So this is just the Murf Fan Cave
so,
desk.
So where's the line?
The line, yeah. I don't know where the Mason Dixon line. I guess it's about right here behind your monitor, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's pretty funny. But all right, so let's hit a couple topics. So. We didn't talk about this much on Raiders Fan Radio this week because we had so much to get to. But tell us what you think about Reggie McKenzie getting let go, man. What do you think about him letting Big Reggie? We all respect and understand and what he did for this team and the good things, but kind of how it's played out. The criticism has been he hasn't built the roster that's even if you leave Khalil Mack here and leave Amari Cooper here and leave Brewster and leave anybody that's left, even if you leave them all on the roster, the argument is, well, they still wouldn't have been good enough to win the division.
Yeah.
Not even go to the playoffs and win a Super Bowl, let alone that, but not even good enough to win the division, and so it led to his departure. So what do you think, Kevin?
I'm going to echo something you said earlier in the last episode where I will always be forever grateful. He's always going to be a Raider to me. He did something, not just, I'm not talking about the draft, but getting us out of cap hell. That was huge.
That was huge.
And having to go through a couple of bad years there and pay out those dead money contracts and get us out of there, that was huge. And I will always be forever grateful for that. Of course, he gets his criticism from his draft choices, obviously. And I think that I think it ran its course, to be honest with you. I know a lot of fans were calling for his head, fire Reggie. And to a certain degree, I can understand that. And I also agree with it. When you look back at all the draft choices, like, oh my God, who are these guys? A few of them, a few of them stuck, and that's good. But I think that when you bring in someone like John Gruden, you got to kind of let him do his thing. And I don't have an issue saying this is John Gruden's show because I'm sure he's going to have some input on whoever the new general manager is going to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I saw it coming, and I'm fine with it.
I agree. And, and I think that he used the term new football executive, Gruden did. And so I think that's interesting and that's where I think it's going to be someone like more in an advisory type role. And that's where you hear the name Bruce Allen thrown out. I like Holmgren just because he's a Bay Area guy. He's a San Jose guy. he actually coached at the school my dad worked at, Oak Grove High School in San Jose, California. So I like Holmgren, and I think that he can provide, even if he doesn't come to work for the Raiders, I think he can provide a lot of mentorship to Gruden on how to then.
Plus, they have a history.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
And Gruden will respect him. He's got the rings. He's got the history in the league. He's mentored a young quarterback. He's had all that. And so I think that would be a good fit. But we've heard Scott McLuhan thrown out there. We've heard a lot of names get thrown around out there. But I think whoever that is isn't going to be a, quote, general manager. I don't think it's going to be somebody that we're used to seeing that's going to come in and take the role like what Reggie had. I think
Let's hope they're a good money guy.
That's it. Yeah. Let's hope they're a good money guy.
By the way, you said that Sonny's on here. I love this. He says, what's a better love story, Kevin and Winnie Cooper from the Wonder Years or Al and his Raiders?
Oh, my gosh. I love it.
That's a tough one. But in present company, I'm going to say Al and the Raiders.
That's fantastic. We got any other questions in there we want to hit? So we went in there about the O-line, banged up O-line. So, yeah, that comes from Mojo. That's going to be interesting, Kevin. You know, we kind of had a banged up O-line to begin with, and then now here with Mongo going out this last week, and I didn't see if Kelechi is still out. Did you, by chance? I didn't see that either. So, but yeah, that's definitely going to be an issue. The good news is that when in terms of the pass rush with the Bengals, it's kind of Geno Atkins from an interior position, and that's it. And that leads me to my next question. I want to ask you about who you think the MVP is so far this year for the Raiders, and I'm going to give you mine first. I think it's Rodney Hudson.
I agree. Completely agree.
Yeah?
I've been agreeing with you all year, but I also I'll be honest with you. I know it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but I have to also give it to Carr because of what he's having to go through and deal with. And think about all the crap he's got. But look what he's doing now. He hasn't like crawled into a hole. Think about this for a second. He hasn't crawled into a hole. He's always up there. I mean, I know he's telling us stuff that we've heard we don't always want to hear, but at least he isn't hiding in a hole somewhere. He's being the leader. He's taking it, you know?
Yeah.
But I would give it to our center first.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
good deal.
definitely.
I like that angle in what you brought up about Carr, because I'm with you on that. I think it's important to recognize it's easy to be front and center when things are going well.
Yes.
And
it's not, it's bad.
No, and we've seen how many quarterbacks that crumble underneath the weight of things not going well. And the ones that persevere through it and the ones that push through it, the guys that let the criticism roll off their back, they stay focused on their task, whatever it may be. Those are the ones that prove to be the best over a long period of time, and that's what Carr's doing.
My one advice I would give to Carr is to hire a PR manager. Because I think that he should learn a little bit more about how he goes up on the press now and he goes up on that podium and maybe not necessarily be as truthful as we want him to be, but kind of stop saying some of the stuff he's been saying, and because it feels like it's kind of a broken record sometimes.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I would do.
The ones that used to get me were the shucks, it's all my fault. Well, no, sometimes it's not, Derek. And it's okay to, there's a difference between calling someone out or, I'm taking a shot at someone or holding them accountable. You know what I mean? And I think that holding people accountable is important for someone in a leadership position. And so you can do that. That's when you see, even as much as I despise him, Phillip Rivers jaw-jacking people on the field. He's holding them accountable. He's not yelling at them, telling them, you suck. He's telling them, come on, man, be better. Like, do your job. And it's okay to certainly do that.
I like what Paul Edgerton here. He says Jared Cook is also a good pick for a runner-up for MVP,
yes,
I think.
That's a good call.
Yeah,
good call, Paul.
I think that I wouldn't be surprised if he gets he's in the runner-up for, the Commitment to Excellence Award they do every year.
Yeah,
I've been to that a few times.
Have you really?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I was there. I'm part of the Atlanta Raider Booster Club.
Okay.
And we've gotten tickets through was it the steering committee? I think that's what it is. And I've been to a few of them actually.
Wow.
I was at the second time that number 24 was there. So yeah.
Wow, no kidding.
D24, dude.
Wow, that is so cool. Well, hold on. Willie Brown or Charles Woodson? Woodson?
Charles Woodson.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's a black tie event. It's a
There
lot
we
of
go.
fun. Yeah, it's
Represent
really, really cool.
today. Got my C.
Marcel Reece was there. I was there when Marcel Reece. Yeah.
Oh man.
By the way,
come on.
I have a Marcel Reece story I got to tell you later. So.
Well, tell me now.
Okay, all right.
I'm
cool,
such
cool,
a
cool.
honk for Marcel Reece. He's like I want to say he's my all-time favorite Raider, but look, we had some dark days in there, Kevin.
Yes.
And he was like one of the lone bright spots of our team. And I seriously, I could do a Marcel. This is going to sound really nerdy, but it's appropriate, right? I could do a Marcel Reece podcast. I freaking love. He, to me, was one of the most unique talents we have ever seen in the NFL, especially that ever wore a Raider uniform. And it is an absolute shame that our coaching staff never used him in a way more creative.
I know.
And I think of, easy Raider
He was
Nation.
totally
but-
underutilized.
And can you imagine if he would have been a Patriot?
Oh,
What would Bill Belichick have done with somebody like Marcel that's an absolute matchup nightmare regardless of where you put him? You could put him at running back, fullback, tight end, wide receiver. It doesn't matter where you put him in his offensive position on the field. It's not on the line. But it doesn't matter. He's a matchup problem for a linebacker, for a safety, it used to drive me crazy. I'm like, why is this guy not like the feature of our freaking offense? And there was always and I know we had Darren McFadden and we had other guys, but he was so fun to watch play. And it was like when he would shine, when they did feature him and they gave him the ability to make plays, especially in space, he was awesome. So anyways, so that's how I you know what I mean? I'm a Marcel
Well,
guy.
I love your story. How you got your jersey signed. You talked about in the last episode. That was great.
Oh man, I'm telling you, thank you. Yeah, because it was impromptu. Like it wasn't planned. It just happened, man. So it was very, very cool. But anyway, so tell me your Marcel story.
Okay, so I didn't get to meet him per se, but this is an interesting little side story. So I went to London to see the Raiders play. Was it 2013? I think it was 14. I can't remember. But I went to go see them there in London, and that's where I met like a lot of the people from the Silver and Black UK, all those wonderful people there. And we were having a party where Fred Biletnikoff, Lincoln Kennedy was there. It was the Saturday night party. And we were celebrating Biletnikoff's cause. It was great, and all the Raiders super fans were there. Gorilla Rilla. I think it was Oaktown Pirate, the last time I saw him before he passed away.
Oh, wow.
But we were trying to figure out where it was, and I was there with my friends, and I was dressed up in my whole Raider nerd gear with a Mando gear. It was like the version 1.0. I had a different helmet back then. And we were trying to figure out where it was, and these other Raider fans were showing up. It was this older couple and a younger girl. It looked like it might have been like their granddaughter maybe. And they're all, do you know where the Raiders Club is? I said, I think we knew. Follow us. And we're kind of talking to them. They were great. And they were asking us about our fandom. Turned out it was Marcel Reece's parents.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
They were really, really cool. They didn't say who they were. It wasn't until afterwards when we were at the party, like, do you know who those were? And it was really cool. So,
oh, that's awesome, man. That is too cool. That is too cool. Well, appreciate again everybody that's jumped in the chat. Gosh, yeah, I'm shocked. I told Kevin when we started, I'm like, we might get one person maybe. Oh my gosh,
I love it. I really appreciate all you guys jumping on the last second.
Absolutely,
man. Guys, thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you, Ashton, Kev, Monster Mash, Ken, Sonny's in there. That's so cool, man. Sonny says mornings with Murf needs to be a thing. I agree, and all we need to do is I need to start making money from podcasting.
Yeah, I know, right?
And then I can do that because I do have a job. I took the day off today because I knew Kevin was going to be in town.
I took the day off too. We don't do this for free.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I would absolutely love to. So NFL Network, if you're watching and you need somebody to ride shotgun there with Nate and Kay and Kyle and Schrager.
There we go. I love it. I love the sound of that.
All right, so Kevin, let's hit a couple more topics
before
we go. I want to ask you now. Look, all right, I still have my. Let me show it here. I still have the Stay in Oakland sign, despite my.
But you put it at a camera shot.
Despite my tirade against the city of Oakland, not the fans from Oakland, but the city of the politicians. I kind of took my shot this past week.
Oh, you took a good one. I was
thank
like,
you,
yes,
thank you.
Yes.
And you know what's funny? You know what's funny is that I haven't heard one negative comment from anybody, and I expected someone somewhere because it's the internet.
I could just hear the spittle coming out of your mouth.
Oh my gosh, I was so fired up, and so I figured someone would say, but I hadn't heard one, and in fact, I've heard nothing but positive responses. And I went through and I read some of the mayor of Libby Schaff from Oakland, and I read through a lot of the comments from when she made the statement. it's about universal that everyone else feels the way that I do, regardless of where they live. So that made me feel a little better that I wasn't just going off on some crazy thing. And I was really afraid that I was going to insult or offend the people that live there. And because I don't. And so I understand that my opinion is that of somebody that used to be. I used to live there. I used to be part of that. I'm not now. And so I want to know my role in that and not, step on anyone's toes and disrespect anyone's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really wanted to make sure that I tempered that. But by all accounts, I didn't step on anyone's toes, thankfully. And so not because it's just nice to be affirmed, but because we're so passionate about this stuff, like sometimes I wonder, like, am I going off half-cocked here? But to read the responses and to hear that, I'm not necessarily going off half-cocked, that there is validity to that passion that comes out in you. So anyway, so all that said, what do you think? Because you're an out-of-market guy too, but you're originally from Southern California.
Yes.
So you're like my buddy Mikey, you became an LA Raider fan originally, right?
Yeah, it was like right after they won the championship, their second championship in Oakland. They came on my radar. My best friend and his family, they were Raiders fans. And then when they moved to L.A., I was all about it. And so, and then of course I stayed with them when they moved back to Oakland. I just it wasn't even a second thought. And so this whole thing with Oakland, there's just it's a huge money grab, and I'm also convinced that there's still corruption there. And I'm going to say this for the record. I think that Mark Davis has done everything that he could to try to stay in Oakland. And I know a lot of people got on him for like wanting to get out of there, and because he's so cheap and, he can't afford anything and whatever it be. But know what? I think he's tried everything in his power to stay there. And this kind of proves it. I mean, the way it looks now, that's just going to be an empty field right now, right?
Yeah.
It's really sad. It really is. Now the A's are moving, right?
Yeah, the A's are going to move to their new proposal. And of course, who knows? We'll see what happens if they finally.
They did sign a 10-year lease a few years ago, which kind of like was the last nail in the coffin for the Raiders stand there.
And they've had 7 stadium proposals for the A's in 13 years.
Yeah.
This whole rooted in Oakland thing and all that stuff, it's just silly. But you're right. So the last one is at the Howard Terminal, which is up. If I'm trying to remember the map of it's north of where the Coliseum is now. But it's off-site, regardless of where it is. It's off-site. So you're right. So that whole area is just going to sit empty, and it's just, I don't know. It's just a shame that none of it ever worked out.
I feel for the fans there. It actually, it's a gut punch, and I feel it because I feel their pain and all the time and money and investment. And it's one of those things where, like, I look over there. It's a money grab. It's greed, and I think that the Raiders did everything they could to stay there. And when the opportunity to open up in Vegas came, I'm like, sure. And then them not deciding to come back and renew their lease after what happened, don't blame them one bit.
Yeah, absolutely, right. Yeah. And now they're gone. And so let's hit on that a little bit. So there's been a handful of places thrown out there. So we got San Antonio, we have Cal Stanford, we have sharing a stadium with the Niners at Levi's, we have Vegas, we have San Diego at Qualcomm on the table. What do you think is the most likely scenario?
It's a weird thing. Maybe I'm alone here. So Raider fans, they're on the feed. You guys are listening to us. Let me know if I'm not alone here. I would love for them to take over Qualcomm Stadium.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Exactly. It's called South Oakland for a reason.
Yeah.
And it would be great if, like, there was a hashtag called South Oakland that they're playing there for like 2 years or whatever it is.
That would be amazing.
They could take that over. They always have taken it over. I remember back in when they were in L.A. when you tried to buy tickets to go see the Raiders play in San Diego. San Diego got smart and said, if you're going to buy a ticket for that game, you got to buy a ticket for another game. There was that thing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But they stay in California. They're still there. I would love for them, even if that stadium's still kind of crappy, because I think it is. I don't know if it's run down.
Oh,
it's better than the Oakland Stadium.
It's a half a step better than Oakland. Yeah,
so let me. I want to know what you guys think. Am I off base here? Take over Qualcomm Stadium, rename it South Oakland, whatever it is. Just take it over. I would love it.
That would be cool. I'm with you. I think that makes the most sense, even though probably from a facility perspective, the most sense is Levi's Stadium, because that place was built to have two teams in it. It's the logistics and the infrastructure and everything is already in place.
That would be my second choice.
Still the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look, I get it. I don't want them playing in a stadium with red seats either. And no one wants the team to be second fiddle to the freaking Niners.
Yeah.
I get that.
You know what, though? I don't know if they would be second fiddle if they did.
Well, that's true.
You know?
That's a great point. That's a great point also. Absolutely. But looks like Qualcomm is probably the consensus, at least the majority favorite there.
Yeah, hashtag Qualcomm 2019, Izzy. There you go.
Absolutely. So that very, very cool. All right. So Kev, so before we'll hit a couple more topics, but before we do, tell us a little bit about what you do. Tell us about your network. Let's before we talk more about the Raiders, tell us about the Fandom Podcast Network, which is your podcast network.
Yeah, I'm the co-founder of the Fandom Podcast Network. You can search for that on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play. We're all on most of the podcast catchers. And my co-founder, Kyle Wagner, we started this back in 2015, and we wanted to do, instead of just doing one podcast, we wanted to have a network where we had several different shows because, yes, I'm a Raiders fan. Yes, I'm a Star Wars fan, Star Trek. We were like, okay, what are we going to do? We wanted to have a network so we can cover all of that, basically. And we have several shows on the network. Our main show is called Culture Clash. It's our weekly fandom news show. We talk about all the geeky news. We talk Star Wars, Marvel, what have you. We also have the End Zone, which is our NFL podcast that both Kyle and I do. And that's interesting for you that don't know. I'm the Raider fan, and he's a Chiefs fan.
Yes.
So things get really interesting there. And we also do a few shows in the off season. You know, whether it's talking about the Super Bowl that just happened, or free agents and the draft. We do that as well. A couple of other popular shows. I'm the host of Blood of Kings, the Highlander podcast. I'm a huge Highlander fan. One of my biggest fans is Highlander. I recently went to Scotland and visited a lot of filming locations with my fiance Erin because we met through that fandom. We also have Couch Potato Theater, where we discover and talk about all of the classic movies, like a lot of pop culture movies, a lot of cult classics, and we kind of talk about one, do a little retrospective on it. We do Time Warp, where we celebrate certain fandoms. Like right now, we're doing the movies of 1985. We just recorded the part 4 of it. That's coming out next year. We're going to be doing.
So does it just Back to the Future nonstop?
Yeah, that was the one that ruled it. Yes, but Commando came out that year. I mean, a bunch of great films came out that year. Next year we're going to be covering 1993 because they just celebrated their 25th anniversary.
Oh.
A lot of good movies came out in '93, and then of course one of the recent shows is the Hair Metal podcast, which I've had you on.
Yeah.
I'm a big hair metal fan from back in the '80s, and so we talk about all of those bands that came up during that time and were popular. We also have a Doctor Who podcast, Type 40, and one of our other new ones as well, my buddy Adam from Australia. We have Lethal Mullet, where he talks about the action movies from the 1980s.
Let me tell you, the names of your shows are great. Lethal Mullet might be the best of them all.
Isn't it great?
Lethal Mullet is fantastic for an 80s action movie title.
Yes.
That is fantastic, man. That is appreciate all your hard work on the Fandom Podcast Network. Y'all check him out. Check out Kevin the Raider Nerd. They're great. It's an awesome network, and I'm not saying this just to be fluffy here. I mean it. Your quality of your shows, the content, the audio quality, everything is awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
And it's there's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of, and it's nowadays it's not hard to podcast. You can flip on your iPhone or your Android phone or whatever, and you can call it a podcast. But to truly produce a show is a whole nother story.
Yeah, it is.
And so you guys produce shows. It's great. Just everything about it, from like I said, the content and the quality of it is great. And the Hair Metal podcast has been a blast. So Kevin and I, the first time we did Cinderella, Tesla, and then who was our closer on that one? It was Poison.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Poison on that one. So that was our closer, and then we're gonna do another one this week, and that will be up whenever. I'm not sure when Kevin's gonna post it, but we're gonna do Skid Row and Guns N' Roses.
That's right,
man.
buddy.
This is gonna be awesome. So anyway, definitely check out Kevin and check out the Fandom Podcast Network. They do awesome stuff. And one last thing, their football show, The End Zone. My favorite thing that you guys do is your quote mediocre football and fantasy football advice.
It's very mediocre.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, well, Kevin, let's hit a couple more topics before we get out of here. Tell me what your biggest surprise, good or bad, what's been your biggest surprise this year as far as the Raiders season goes?
Jeez. Biggest surprise. I can't really say much for the team. It's hard. You know what? Okay, all the moves. That's the biggest surprise.
All the moves,
yeah. That's the biggest surprise.
Yeah, well, no one expected Mack and Cooper to not be part of this team anymore.
You know, we had a feeling McKenzie was kind of on the outs, but you know, we thought he'd at least ride through the season. You know,
right.
But what's really kind of surprised me is how Raider Nation has kind of leaned on itself. You know, with other fellow Raider Nation, you know, and I think it's just made us stronger going through this kind of crap season. You know?
Yeah, I agree. And you know what's funny is that, like we mentioned about Derek Carr, you know, your character is defined partly by how you react when things are tough. Well, here you go, Raider Nation. Like, you know what I mean? How do we as fans now? Granted, a lot of folks, and I'll put myself in there too. A lot of us kind of lost our minds early on because early on it was like it was so jarring. Because it didn't go as we expected it was going to go. We were
expecting a winning season. Yes. We were expecting the savior coming back, you know, Gruden himself, you know, and we had such high expectations.
Such high expectations, absolutely. So that was definitely a shock when all the moves happened, especially on the heels of not being as competitive. All right, so we got the draft coming up. Are you coming up for the draft? It's in Nashville.
I don't think so because I got a trip already planned.
Okay.
Isn't that late April?
It's the end of April. It's like the 25th through the 27th.
Yeah, I'm going to be out of town, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would be there.
Okay. Well, we're going to be there. The the Raiders fan radio microphones will be live. I've actually just started another friend of ours that you met at the Titans game, Jeff the Titans fan. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
So I talked to Jeff the Titans fan yesterday, and we've already started. He's going to kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of host us a little bit as far as our location goes, and it's going to be really cool, man. We got a lot of cool stuff in the works for the draft this year, so we will definitely be live for that. And you'll get a lot of this. We're going to get a lot of live streaming for the draft.
That's going to be fun.
Should be really cool. But so what do you think is our biggest position of need? What do you think? You know, the Raiders, we're going to have the 3 picks. Unfortunately, it looks like the 2 of them are going to be kind of lower than what we had hoped for, but they're still going to be first-round picks. So what do you think we do? What's our biggest position of need to address in the draft?
Defense. Yeah, defense. And now apparently we need wide receivers too.
Wasn't that weird? It kind of felt like going into this year, especially when we traded for Switzer. You know, we had Cooper, Nelson, Switzer, Seth, Martavis Bryant.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, we're loaded at wide receiver.
But I think the key is what's going to happen during free agency. Because I think that is going to really dictate on who we get.
And that may be where our defense comes from.
Possibly, yes.
I've been screaming forever about inside linebacker. And so if we go and pull C.J. Mosley, linebacker from the Ravens, if we go and pull him in free agency, all of a sudden that conversation changes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Pick up a certain running back? Who knows?
You know, he's an awful lot of money, and he could be a potential headache, but he's a heck of a football player.
Des Bryant, he's still around, right?
Yeah, Des is still. Yeah, oh my gosh. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting for the draft for sure, and there's so many dynamics going on until we get there. So, all right, let's hit with one more here, and then we'll before we wrap it up. So, Kevin, you're a world traveler.
Yeah, I've been around.
You mentioned your fiance. She lives in where, Australia? Or she's from Australia?
Yes. Yeah, we're doing the long distance thing until we're starting to figure that out. So hopefully she's going to be coming over here.
And so you guys like meet in London and you like meet like you are.
Yeah, Greenland, by the way, I don't think it's its own continent, bro. I got to call you on some of your geography.
Well, I'm not a numbers guy. I don't do math, and apparently the map is a struggle for me as well.
That was funny. After I was on last time, you're like, come on, Kevin, get to these countries. Do it.
But so you are a globetrotter, Kevin.
Yes,
you are a Raiders
I love it. It's
globetrotter.
It's gotten into my blood, and the best part of it is when I can meet up with other Raider fans.
Absolutely,
so, yeah.
And we got a lot of our overseas fans in the chat there. Let me shout them out the chat one more time. Darkside Bricks, Kev is in there. The Raider Critique, Big Raider Trucker, Emiliano is in there.
Yeah.
Chris Rubio, Raider Homer, Mojo Cantrell. Let's see who else is in there. I can't scroll up. Steve is in there. So I appreciate you all joining us on this kind of impromptu RFR Live morning show here. Good morning, Raider Nation, with your old buddy Murf and Kevin, the Raider Nerd. So being that you're a globetrotter, being that you have traveled all over and you've seen the Raiders literally all over the world, if you could see them anywhere, where would you go? And I mean anywhere. It doesn't have to be necessarily a historical football venue, but maybe could be, but anywhere.
I'll tell you right now, the most beautiful country I've ever visited, and sorry, Aaron, it's not Australia, even though it is nice. Scotland, Glasgow. There you go.
Scotland.
Yeah, buddy.
Scotland. So, is there a stadium there, or would you want?
Oh, I'm sure.
Would you want
is,
to
yes.
do it like Highlander style, man? Like just kind of like at like a big meadow or some rolling hills or something, and just like what would you?
Yeah, I'd sorry, I love that. I would love some great European country. That'd be great. I have not been to Spain. I've only changed planes there. I'd love to maybe do that, or even I've been to France several times. That would be a great place because there's soccer stadiums all over the place, all over.
Right.
Europe.
Yeah.
So they could definitely fill a house there. I know Scotland could host it, and so I my first vote is see them in Scotland because I know some people there. They put on a party. Stevie, Kev, there you go.
So and so speaking of that, so let me mention one more.
Oh wait, hold
thing.
on. Speaking of Kevin, he says the nerd is the ultimate honorary Scotsman. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
That's awesome. So let's touch on that real quick. If say the Raiders couldn't get a stadium deal done at one of these other locations we're talking about, and they did essentially play abroad for a year, split their home schedule with Mexico City and in London.
They better fix that field in Mexico, though. Oh, God.
That the field conditions would have been bad.
Yeah.
But what if we were the London Raiders for a year?
That would be great because they would have.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I know some people that would lose their minds. Oh my God, that would be so fun because now that was it Tottenham Stadium should be done by now. Yeah, that would be great.
That would be cool, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that would be pretty
neat.
neat.
Stevie, can I crash on your couch for a while? That'd be great.
So, all right, well, guys, we'll appreciate you joining us here for this impromptu RFR Live, our little Good Morning Raider Nation.
I love that. Just win, Johnny. Nerd Out Nation. I love it.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, definitely. Check out what Kevin's stuff, man. Definitely support what he's doing. He's a great representative of Raider Nation, great ambassador for Raider Nation. And of course, in his podcast network is fantastic, and the show's there, which is Fandom Podcast Network. And that is, give him the website, Kevin. Because I always forget
the Fandom Podcast Network. Our master feed is at fpnet.podbean.com. And if you want to reach me directly, you can do that on Instagram and Twitter, Spartan_Phoenix. A little Demolition Man reference there.
Spartan_Phoenix. And, do you want to tell...
Came out in 1993, by the way.
Was it really? Oh, there you go. There you go.
Taco Bell won the food wars. Except in Australia, it was they changed it to... Pizza Hut, which is weird. Yeah.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, because I don't know, something with the rights or something. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Now, remember when we first met you, Sonny asked you about what the shells were for.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want any comment on the shells?
Not here, no.
No,
sorry.
Can't.
The 3 seashells, nope.
All right. Well, thank you all again very much for joining us here for this. This has been a lot of fun. And so coming up this week, so tonight we'll release the new episode of the Fan Club Blitz. So check out our folks from the Fan Club Blitz. That is the guys up there at the Irish Cottage Inn, which is the home base for the New Jersey chapter of the Black Hole.
I got to go visit those guys.
So I know, me too. I talked to Chuck just yesterday, and I kind of made mention of that I would love to get up there to Jersey. So here's an interesting thing. So, and for all you all that are East Coast Raider fans as well, it's looking like the schedule is going to play out that we're going to play at the Jets next year.
Ooh.
So that could be interesting. So I would love to go see the Raiders play at MetLife, play against the Jets. That would be a blast, and would be an absolute blast to link up with the Black Hole, New Jersey, and be part of that.
Got a lot
crew.
of guys there in Manhattan too. That'll.
There's the Silver and Black Empire and all those guys. So that would be really, really cool. Then, so
I met a lot of those guys, man. They're so much fun.
Have you really? Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm thinking, next year if we get an opportunity to travel, and Uncle Mosh and I circle one on the. Of course, it all depends on where it goes in the calendar, right?
Yeah.
The ball depends on where. But if there's a game, that might be my pick next year for, especially if we do a road game. That would be amazing to play at the Jets. So anyway, so hopefully that'll work out. All right, guys, thank you again for joining us, and go Raiders.